they want to close up the tip box. And then let's go ahead and look at the increments here. I don't know how well mine is showing, but from top to bottom, we want it to read 100, which would be exactly 10 microliters, recalling there are 1 million microliters in a liter and 1,000 microliters in a milliliter. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the black knob. So it's a little different than the simulation. Some of them you turn this knob, but not with the H20s. And I'm going to slowly turn it, bring it down all the way to 10. And there
How
we
do you
go.
get the middle digit to move down? I can't get the middle digit to move.
So it will move as you keep dialing. So it moves the lowest one first, and then once that completes a full revolution, it moves the next one.
And so the blue 0 at the bottom, if I were to turn it, to, let's say 5, that would be, it's read from top to bottom, 105. Well, that's going to be 10.5 microliters. So again, I'm going to go back to 100 as read from top to bottom. And we have our micro pipette set for 10 microliters, which is the volume we're going to be using in the activity. Okay, so now that you have this all set, I want you to just sort of get a feel for the plunger here. So gently push it down. You'll feel it's a point of resistance. Then I want you to actually go past that point of resistance. So the first stop, second stop, I go all the way down. You'll feel there's more resistance when you go from the first to the second stop. And I'll explain that second stop again when we're actually pipetting. In fact, let's go ahead and draw 10 microliters of yellow. And I'm going to, this is
I think some of us still need to set up our colors here.
Okay. Then while you're doing that, I'll talk about some of the do's and don'ts on page 2 that I feel are critical for your students. So one of the things they'll do is snap, and they will snap this, which is the ejector button. And the one that Megan also touched on is they will turn this knob beyond the scope of where this H20, as Megan said, it can only go up to 20 microliters. But students are going to go above it. And it's not even on purpose. They tend to just start twisting this, and they just keep going and going and going. And same with going down. This only goes down to 2. If you go beyond those thresholds, you're going to ruin the calibration, ruin the mechanism, and possibly destroy the micropipette. And that is a very costly mistake for a student to make just because they're not paying attention. Now, normally what I'll do is I will have you all go down to 2. I don't think you need to do that now because I think we're going to need this time to actually do the activity. But go down to 2 tomorrow or something. Go up to 20, and you will feel it become more difficult to twist. Like it feels like you're over tightening it. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I always tell the students, you know, you can feel the resistance as you reach either the upper or lower threshold of your micro pipette. How do we feel about our solutions now? Does everyone feel that we can go in and get 10 microliters of yellow? Okay, then here's what you do. You go down to the first step and only the first step, and the students are going to go all the way down. That's incorrect. They're going to get way too much fluid. Go down to the first step, place the tip into the yellow fluid, and slowly let up on the plunger, and you will get 10 microliters. Now feel free. Actually, I want you to do this. We're going to now expel the yellow back into the yellow. And this is going to help you understand the point of that second stop. So when you push down to the first stop, I have a little bead of the dye clinging to the tip. And many of you probably have the same thing. That is the, you know, the cohesion of water to itself and the adhesion of water to the micropipette tip. And oftentimes in biotech, we're going to be pipetting more viscous fluids. So those fluids will get, have a small amount stuck in the tip. And that's the point of that second stop, is to push all the way down, and that's going to expel air through the tip, and it's going to force the rest of that solution out of the tip and into whatever you're pipetting into. Okay, and that small volume that gets stuck in the tip might be critical for your reaction, or when we're doing an ELISA in January or polymerase chain reaction, where we're pipetting 1 and 2 microliters of solution. And if the 2 microliters that you pipette do not get into the solution, the reaction does not work. But that's why we're going over this all now virtually, is to get a feel for this. Okay. So what I would like, one more thing. This is for students. They'll do this. They will be talking and holding their pipette, and you always want the pipette downward. Now, it's kind of hard to see probably on my camera, but I'm now increasing closer and closer to the horizontal. And if I start to go above the horizontal, that solution's going to come back into the tip and into the micropipetter and ruin it. So the students always need to have this pointing downward. Don't lay it on the bench with a solution in it, because it could go back into the pipette and destroy it. Okay, and again, I always look at this through that standpoint, because these things are very expensive, and we all have lots of students running around, and we're trusting them with very expensive pieces of equipment. And so keeping that tip pointed down when there's solution in it is very important. So now if you would flip the page in the binder and look at the page in your binder that says Mini PCR Bio in the upper right-hand corner, Micropipette Art, full steam ahead. And this activity is, you can Google it, and the PDFs will pop up online as well. So it's very accessible. And there's 3 different activities in full steam ahead, and I just want to do one this evening. Otherwise, we might be here until 7:30, 8 o'clock if we did them all. So I've just chosen one for us to do. So if you now continue to flip the page and find, it's in the lower right-hand corner, it says P3. And it's titled Pipette by Number. And I'll just verbally explain this if that's okay. There's a lot of words explaining what to do, but it's pretty straightforward. So as you flip the page again, you will see the sheet, and let's see if this comes out where you can, yeah, you can definitely see that. Pipette by number, design 1. And you're going to need to remove that page from the binder.
Well, and there's one in the front cover.
Okay, good. I didn't know if everyone had one.
Yeah, they should,
Okay.
unless my volunteers messed up.
Okay,
And that's,
awesome.
it's labeled P5.
Yeah, and there's a fancy color. Yes. So you can just grab it out of the front cover. And before we begin the activity, I wanted to tell you the other activities are Mimic Me. If you flip the page or look at the ones in the front of your binder, where you are mimicking a pattern. And then lastly, there's Your Choice, where you can let your students become very creative. And I think, Megan, we've had some cool stuff that we've shared over the years of students doing this sort of pipette art, and we can probably share that with you. I know you'd like to see some of it we've done, but for your more creative students that want to create their own art, you have that option as well.
Yep, I'll post some of those.
Okay, thank you. But I have chosen design 1, pipette by number. And so at this time in your box, you should also have a Petri dish. If you could locate that. And if anyone's fallen behind or lost, just let me know. I'll slow down. And what you need to do, unless this has already been done for you, is you need to grab a Sharpie and
Which
put
you
a straight line on one side. It doesn't even matter where on your Petri dish.
And there should be one in the back cover of your binder, theoretically.
Okay.
Mhm.
Everyone good? Okay. Again, I don't want to go too fast. So now I'm going to take my Petri dish with the line on it, and I'm going to set it on design 1, grid marked yellow. And I'm going to make sure that my line on the Petri dish aligns with the arrow on the template. And it looks like some of you are already going. That's good. So now we're going to pipette 10 microliters of yellow into each of these little grids labeled 10. And I wanted to tell you all, because my students think it's really cool when they're doing electrophoresis and PCR to do this fast, really cool looking CSI, I'm a TV special biotech guru. But in reality, you can't really see it, but I brace my hand. I brace my hand because I want to be very accurate when delivering these aliquots. And so now we can just peacefully pipette. It's very cathartic. Maybe we should do all of them this evening. I'm just joking, by the way. I have a very dry sense of humor. Or so I've been told.
It can be an activity for later, though.
Very true.
Kind of like coloring by number before bed, or the
Yeah,
coloring books.
I like
Yeah,
that.
do pipetting instead.
I do like this, Megan. This is better than what we did in the past, I think.
Yeah, this is a lot quicker and more effective. The other one could be a backup if some people have really
So
quick.
Mark,
Who's that?
hi,
Hey,
it's Jessica. I did have a question. On the practice card, my drops come out perfect, but on these honeycomb shapes, it doesn't seem to feel. It's been a while since I did this.
Oh, so
Detect.
that's actually okay because these honeycomb templates are made to actually hold up 20. So in a little bit, we're actually going to be mixing some colors. And so I believe they've done that just so all of the, the 20 microliters can fit into that honeycomb. But your
Okay.
pipetting card is definitely the most accurate for showing the size of each
Oh.
aliquot or each volume. Like I said, I keep mine in my wallet at all times.
Never know when you're gonna have a pipetting emergency.
That's right. And again, you may notice you have some fluid stuck in the tip, and that's where you want to really hit that second stop to expel that fluid. And like Megan was saying too, you definitely don't want to put the tip into the medicine cup and then press down, because those bubbles and different reagents that have detergents in them, it can get really bad. You basically don't want bubbles. So has anyone completed yellow yet by chance? Awesome. So for those of you finishing yellow, you're going to gently slide your Petri dish over to red. Kind of make sure everything lines up. There we go. Very cool. And now we're going to be pipetting red. And if there are any wells that you are told to put 10 microliters of red, but they already have yellow, that is what you're supposed to do, is add now those 10 microliters to the red onto the yellow. And
Are we using the same tip?
well, you read my mind. So the
I read it.
mini PCR has basically, they say, hey, you don't need to change the tips out. You can simply rinse in between. So you can have another little cup with just water and rinse, and that way you're not burning through tons of tips.
But you could also have them change the tips in between colors and then just rinse them later. So that way, if you want to make sure your students are getting practice with changing the tips, there's that option.
And while we're talking about changing tips, that's this cool little button here. Students' favorite part. You press it down and the tip is ejected. It goes flying. It feels pretty awesome to do it. So for sure, absolutely. This little button right here.
Are we going down to the second stop over the honeycomb?
Yes, over the honeycomb, you're gonna go all the way down to the second stop. And again, do so slowly. And this is a great time with your students to walk around. Guarantee you, some of them are pushing down too far when they bring in the fluid, and they're bringing way too much in.
And Mark, it's 6:10. So we have about 5 more minutes.
Oh,
No, but everybody can finish on their own if they need to.
So when we go to do a lab like this, if we have like 15, but that's not enough for one per student, is that where we're able to borrow some equipment? So that way we could do one per student?
Yes, I have class sets of micro pipettes available for you to borrow. It helps to unmute when I'm answering the question. So. Mhm.
Yeah, I appreciate this because I graduated from Georgia Tech 20 years ago. No, it's been a while since, and we had the old one. Yes, so this is fancy. Thank you.
Yeah, and go Jackets. But yeah, I remember the old kind.
Yeah, it's go Jackets.
Push to a third stop to eject the tip. So I like the ejector button.
Yep. Yes. Name was glass and
I have a question.
Yes.
So I read ahead and it said something about blotting with paper towel for them to keep it. What does that look like?
If you have a paper towel, go ahead and try it when you're done.
Okay.
Or
'Cause
you
I
could
think
take a picture, it'll last longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if there was some way that they could, make something out of it to keep.
Yeah. So yeah, you could do paper towels. Instead of using a Petri dish, you could have them just do it on wax paper or something, make marks on the wax paper, and then they can move it and maybe more easily press in that than in the Petri dish.
Okay,
Or
thank you.
yeah, if you have a lot of those page protectors rolling around or transparencies, yeah, any of that would be good options.
Would it work on I've got some of that plastic to make shrinky dinks out of? Would that work? Would it make it through the process or you think it would just fade? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if the food coloring would make it. You could try. And Faith said filter paper fits in the Petri dishes. Yes, that's a good one to soak it up if you have it.
Well, soaking up with a paper towel just made a mess.
Yeah. All right. So we have a sample of one.
Thank you for trying that for me. I'm always looking, y'all, around Christmas time, those last days to give them something to do that they can, take home.
Well, and you could have them decorate straight onto filter paper, if they're doing the kind of create your own design, completely free form it. Yeah, like chromatography snowflakes. Yeah.
I wonder if
Faith, just got to do the chat.
I'm sorry. I was gonna suggest that maybe watercolor paint.
Turn on your sound.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you could pipette the watercolor paint too. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Like pipetting watercolor paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like dilute it a little bit and then, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be perfect.
Thank y'all so much.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so it is 6:15. So if you do need to jump, we want to respect your time, but we are here for a little bit longer if you want to hang out and ask any questions or just finish up your Petri dish.
Thank you. See y'all next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was really neat. Brings back lots of old lab memories.
Good. I'm
Thanks.
glad. Have a good night.
Megan, I've got a question
So
for you.
Lance, you're
Yeah.
go.
Hey, Lauren.
In my box of
Yes.
goodies, the Icarus buffer leaked. How many
Okay.
mils? What's the minimum mils I need? Because I've got like 6 instead of like 8.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, just making sure. So if I needed more, we could work something out or something. So
Yeah. I know at one time somebody's completely spilled, so I just sent a new tube.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was enough to do like the gel and everything and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do I do with the Petri dish again once I'm done?
You can rinse it out. Or if you want to keep it, you can try pressing something. Maybe use the other half to cut a circle in a paper towel. And then you can blot it in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. But you guys can just also take a picture of it. And I've shared our social media links with you guys. So if you want to, if you're on social media and you want to post it, you can tag us.
Yeah, it seems like it would make almost a tie-dye type pattern, you know, if you try to blot it.
Yeah. Stop recording.